Let's see here. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me call this meeting to order of the House Regulated Industries Committee. It's always good to have a crowd that came up, and we always love to see people at this meeting. This is more of a not an organizational meeting, but somewhat of a quasi meeting to get everything kicked off for this session. Regulated Industries tends to be a active committee during the session, and we hope we have a lot of activity to bring y'all back to the meetings. At this time, I'd like to ask Brother Al Williams if he would just say a short devotion. What number are you there?
7. Thank you, but I've never gotten used to the word 7. Used to the word short, but since you've asked for short,
Or 7-Eleven.
I'll give you my 20-minute version. Let us pray. Almighty and everlasting, thou art eternal God, we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for those that have come. We thank you for the members of this committee and its chairman. We ask that everything we do and say, we must remember that we do it for Georgia. For it is in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brother Al. As a prelude to the meeting, I'd like everybody to say a word of prayer for a gentleman down in Warner Robins, former Chairman Sonny Watson. Some of y'all might remember Sonny from an earlier day. He is on up in age now. I'm sure he's still got the teeth that he had when he chaired this committee years ago, or the old House Industry Committee. But he's experiencing some issues, so if you would, feel free to say a word of prayer to your Maker on his behalf. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to go over a few things. I wanted the committee to give them a jump start and be up, remember where we left off last year on a few things. During the interim, we had a few meetings about, we had Representative Holcomb had a bill about ticket brokering, and we had a lot of entertainment because of some of our committee members, Mr. Ridley. So, you know, that bill is still alive and well. I hadn't talked to Representative Holcomb, but we'll be hearing that bill again probably sooner than later. What did I say? I do stand corrected, Representative Hilton. We've got a few bills out here, and I think most of the committee knows some of the subject matter that this committee hears. There's some standard subject matters that we hear. We usually deal with the gaming issues. We deal with alcohol issues. Quite frankly, I don't know what issues are off limits to this committee. I know a lot of y'all out there would like to see bills sent to this committee, and some of y'all out there don't want any bills sent to this committee. So, you know, I say kudos to y'all. We love y'all on that. Some of the bills out here that we've got, cosmetology licensing. I don't think after last year's episode that many people want to deal with cosmetology bills. I think some folks learned their lessons on that, thanks to Representative Jenkins and Representative Fleming. One's left, and the other's soon to be leaving for a judiciary seat.
Well, yes, we do have one, but it's not cosmetology. It's going to be a little hair cutting bill.
I believe that falls under cosmetology, brother. Let's see here. I'm looking down. We deal with the lottery, and I'll go ahead and say up front to the committee members, for those of y'all who were here last year when we had the lottery oversight meeting, I think that y'all need to go ahead and start prepping your questions. You know, we got a lot of answers last year. Some of them we didn't like, but we didn't get all the answers that we were looking for last year from that agency. But I would tell you, you've got about a week or so to go ahead and start getting some of your questions from your constituents that might have posed questions about the lottery and some of the dealings that they've had with retailers and things like that. So go ahead and start getting your questions ready, because I'm suspecting that we'll probably have a lottery oversight meeting probably week after next or somewhere in that near future. Cannabis. I would say to the committee, give you an update. Cannabis legislation we dealt with last year. We're going to send it back over to the Senate for an agree. Try to get it moved. Same with the COAM business. Sending it back. Then we can try to start see if there's any other issues to clean up that industry as is needed. Professional licensing over to Secretary of State's office. Representative Bennett had an ad hoc committee meeting on some of that, and she might want to give a little, if you want to speak to the full committee that may not have been here. Now would be as good a time as any.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that opportunity and honor. We did have representation from the Secretary of State's office, the licensure board, and because the board went to a different platform for relicensure called Goals, many of our professionals were having the dickens of a time doing their relicensure. They, Mr. Sterling did assure, and some of his other representatives did assure that they have cleaned up and made corrections to the Goals platform. However, Mr. Chairman, when I went to do my relicensure, there are still some issues. So we will continue to follow up with that, and thank you so much, and I'll have another updated report for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your work on that with some of the committee members. Just as a footnote to that, we do regulate, this committee hears all the licensing legislation. And I would say that the issues that we have to deal with didn't just start. Excuse me. The licensing division brings in tens of millions of dollars a year in fees, and they have never really truly been appropriated the funds that's needed to do the job that they're given to do. And it's something that the members of this committee need to keep in the back of their mind, so at any opportunity you might want to be looking at that to start dealing with some of those issues. They've got some mighty good folks that work down there, and I bragged about LaTrenda Jones, and I'll tell you there's no better state employee than I know of than her that does a job, but still they need help to do their job down there. Gambling, I'd mentioned that briefly. Somehow a lot of that missed us last year. Sports betting seems to be high on a lot of people's list. Some of us maintain it still needs a constitutional amendment and to look at the issues that are involved. That seems to be more of a Senate issue. They want sports betting, and some of them want more than that, but it's still going to take a constitutional amendment. The committee members, I think most of the committee members know that the only two forms of gambling today is the Georgia lottery and bingo. Those are the only two classifications of gambling that the public has ever voted on that's approved. And I throw that out, might be just a word of thoughts to y'all if anybody wants to jump involved into the bingo statutes. Now, that being said, I want to go around and give the committee members, because I'm really doing this as a way of bonding some folks, I want to give the committee members a little bit of time if they've got something they'd like to express about issues or things that this committee might want to deal with. Let's start with Representative Carpenter down here, because he's got half the bills that's on this agenda that's never been heard.
Well, I can't help it. Sometimes you have a hard time hearing good bills, Chairman. I actually do want to talk. I've talked to you a little bit off the record about some issues that I'm having locally with some of the gift cards that are coming out from the lottery. I'm a restaurant, and so I have people using them in my restaurant. So if they run their card for, say, $20 for their meal, and then they leave a 20% tip, and so they leave 24. Is that right? $24 it's getting kicked out, and so it's getting charged back on my account. So I had like 10 of these in 1 month, and I don't get 10 chargebacks in a year, and it all comes back to that card. So I think there's an issue with whoever's whoever's handling the cards. They're not letting the processors know what amount of money's on them or all that good stuff. So I think some of that needs to be worked out, and so I look forward to having those conversations. And obviously gambling, something of interest, especially sports gambling. I think the state's ready for it. So,
And maybe other forms also. Something that's actually raise revenue for the state that could go to a good cause, like maybe healthcare. Mr. Ridley, you have anything you want to? Just come on down the line. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid.
Got me on that. I don't have anything to say. I'm just waiting. See what we get this year.
Very good. Let's see.
Yes, I enjoy spending time with Jason Ridley when we're not here doing the people's work. No, Mr. Chairman, one piece of legislation that I want to bring up, and I'm going to work with lead council in the next couple of days, is trying to streamline the awarding of licensing. I'm getting a lot of pushback and a lot of calls from constituents. They sit for their test, they send in their documentation to the Secretary of State's office, and then they have to wait 60, 90 days for a board to meet to award their license. And we got to do something to stop that. I've had numerous constituents during the interim who've reached out to me and have brought me some very legitimate concerns. And it's just the bureaucracy of the board not meeting, so to speak. I don't necessarily say that's bureaucracy, but maybe it's the failure of the boards to do their expeditious awarding of licensing and meetings. So I've got a piece of legislation. I've got an idea working on that. Hopefully I'll bring that to you in the next couple of weeks.
Very good. I wish I could get you to work on some cemetery legislation, since I'm suffering from issues in my district about the some of the cemeteries, the perpetual care cemeteries. But Mr. McDonald.
I'm just hello. 24? Oh, good. I'm just here to support the vision and mission of the chairman. How'd I do? No, last year, in the beginning, we met with the lottery and the COAM, and that's something that it was a big education for me. So I'm very interested in bringing that back and learning more and kind of indulging ourselves a little bit deeper into, especially the COAM, but I too, in the professional business that my neighbor here, I do have some issues and concerns that I deal with in our area with licensing.
Very good. Yes, sir. Brother Jaspers.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, I, like everybody in here, enjoys being on your committee, and I think every meeting that we go through, we learn something from you, historically and knowledge-wise, and how to do this job better. And I appreciate being a part of it. I look forward to seeing this ticket bill move along, and make sure that we're looking after consumers.
Very good.
I think that's one thing that we hadn't done. And, I too, just as Chairman Collins, I've got a cosmetologist, as I told the chairman about the other day, that this licensing thing, their lag, and then even, for hearing, not being able to do it remotely, and somebody from up in Jasper where I'm at have to drive down to Macon or Forsyth to have a meeting. There needs to be some working on how this works. Like, some of their meetings can be remotely, some of the hearings can be, but some can't be. I understand that, but we've got to find a little medium point here for the Georgians to work better with them.
Very good. Any other issues?
No, sir. There will be, though.
I tell you what, anybody doesn't realize out there what a great guy he is and what a great legislator he is. He's a keeper. Vice Chairman?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm honored to be on the Regulated Industries Committee. Of course, we deal with a lot of significant issues in Georgia that make a lot of difference to Georgians, and so I'm honored to be on the committee. and appreciative of that opportunity, and also particularly honored to be the vice chairman to Chairman Powell. I'm honored to work with him and to learn from him and to be involved here. We have a number of issues to deal with. We look across our state at some of the highest priorities we have. We hear a lot about workforce. We hear a lot about housing. We hear a lot about health care. And everything that has been mentioned down the line now can deal with some of those issues. In particular, in workforce, I think we should be looking very closely at making it easy for people that want to get up and go to work every day to be able to get up and go to work every day without being bound by a lot of overregulation. And so in particular, I am interested in that as well as some of the other things. I think that the gift card issue with gaming is something that we definitely need to get taken care of. And I also have a real interest in this ticket issue. I think that has to be resolved to protect the consumer. And so, Mr. Chairman, sorry to take so long, but those are the things I think we should be focused on.
You never have to apologize for longevity in speaking something. I don't know anybody that has been beat on like you have by certain groups out there, and for what you're trying to do the right thing. Dr. Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too appreciate being on this committee with you. I've known you a long time, before I even got into the legislature. I have a lot of respect for you and your historical knowledge, and I appreciate being on this committee. I guess my interest, one of my major interests over the years have been related to the healthcare profession, and in our rush to get more professionals in the state, which I support, but at the same time, I think we charge our boards, dental and medical and nursing boards, with the protection of the public. And I think it's imperative that whoever comes into the state to practice does have a license of good standing, and the board is aware and has that license on record, so they're aware that they're practicing and where they're practicing. That's very important. I remember when I was president of the Dental Association a long time ago, we had dentists, well, we had people that said they were dentists, they were not, practicing in Atlanta, extracting teeth and things like that. And in a time where hepatitis and other diseases have become fairly prevalent, it's very dangerous to folks. So I look forward to looking at new ways and progressive ways of helping healthcare professionals get to the state under board review. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. You know, and he's done a good job. That new committee that was created over that way that spun off, and it's making a very good system of hearing some subject matters that need to be heard. Billy Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too am grateful for the opportunity to serve on this committee. I think it's one of the better committees by far. This is the 20th year I've served on this committee out of 22. One of the things that I'd like to, or a couple of things I'd like to see us accomplish this year, it seems like we've been talking about it forever, and that is the COAM issue as well as online sports betting. I think we need to really get these two issues behind us, because they seem to consume us every session, and by the end of the session we've accomplished not as much as I think we ought. But glad to be here serving with you, Mr. Chairman. Glad to serve as a vice chair of one of the subcommittees, and look to continue the furtherance of good government.
What a wonderful guy. Representative Bennett.
After Billy Mitchell. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been a pleasure working with you for the entire legislative career of 12 years. Through your wisdom, you have placed me on subcommittees that fit and suit my professional expertise. I'm specifically concerned and encouraged by both our workforce development as well as the protection of our citizenry. Specifically, coming up this year, I will be working with the physical therapist. There is a glitch in our relicensure for dry needling. And so, in addition with all of the other gambling bills, sports betting bills, and regulatory bills, we'll be speaking with you about that, dry needling in the physical therapy profession. Thank you.
And thank you very much. Got two special people down here on the end I want to recognize. One is Jan Brown, and I think everybody in here that's ever looked for me, they have to go through her. And I want to tell you, after just a couple of years of service, I will tell you that she is absolutely the best admin in this building, if not on the whole of Capitol Square. Absolutely. Secondly, Sean Marie, our legislative counsel, and how fortunate we are. Yes. Thank both of y'all. I'd passed over Patrick. He's just a fill-in for Brian today, but he'll probably be back. I think he was having what, dental work today? I think so. Dental work. So there you go.
Or not.
Chairman Martin.
Thanks, Chairman Powell. Enjoy serving on the committee. My mission here is simple. I want to try to remove the barriers for hardworking Georgians that are trying to achieve and provide services to our citizens. I understand there's a subjective decision in there about is our regulation more important than their education and certification. So I look forward to a spirited dialogue on that. But I'll just boil it down to that. I want to remove barriers so people can get to work and serve people in Georgia. I appreciate your leadership on the committee, Mr. Chairman, and I'm glad you did it right before me, because everybody's been saying good things about you, and we all know it starts with Miss Brown back there. So I'm glad you acknowledge that.
Well, I appreciate y'all all being so courteous. Might be the reason I call this meeting, and we ain't doing a whole lot today, because to help build my ego up, because generally I find that after the third day of the session, people aren't talking about me near as flowery. Representative Hutchinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you for having me on this committee. It's absolutely the most fascinating committee I've sat on. And man, if I hear one more thing about Ticketmaster, oof. I think what I'd like to see is the marijuana subcommittee meet again, because the reality is, if you want to get high in Georgia, you can get high in Georgia. You can go to a gas station, a smoke shop. In my district, we have a dispensary, which is not a dispensary like we know it, but it's in the title. So people think it's a dispensary. And if you walk in, it's a beautiful place. You don't know the difference. And they're selling Delta 8, Delta 9, because I think the laws aren't very clear. So I'm not sure if the people who are selling it know that they're selling Delta 9 and that's not legal. But I have worked with my local solicitor, because my concern is kids are getting this in their hands, and they're getting very high and going to school. I took some of the products from a gas station to our solicitor, and I said, I feel like this is way over the THC limits we have in Georgia. He said because our what we wanted to test was so small, the GBI wouldn't do it. So we have no way of even testing it unless it's in large quantities. The GBI will not go into a gas station, pick something up off the wall, and just test it. So it's bad. And when we're talking about the medical marijuana card, full disclosure, I have been an insomniac since my 20s, so 30 years. I bought a medical marijuana card on Groupon for $84. I spoke to a doctor for about 30 seconds, and he said, so you have PTSD? I was like, I don't know, do I? Yes, I can give you a card. That was the entirety of the conversation. So if you can buy a medical marijuana card on Groupon, you can buy marijuana in a gas station, at a smoke shop. I think when we talk about low THC level oil, we're so far beyond that. If you want to get high right now in Georgia, you go to a gas station and you be high in 2 hours. So I think we need to have a larger conversation because I don't think we're going to be able to rein that back.
Thank you for your comments. You make me feel good about life. Representative Williams. Which number are you use? 7.
To say, okay. Well, just again for full disclosure, there have been such glowing things said about you. I really come by just to see Jan. It ain't about you. Thank you, but really, you're a good chairman and a good friend. And after listening to my colleague, my little issue seems so inconsequential. I didn't want to bring it up. There were a couple of things. First and foremost, I am going to be working on a bill that I introduced 17 years ago. It's unbelievable that in Georgia, you can go to a dentist, you can get a mammogram, you can get a full medical examination. You can do just about, you can eat any place off of a mobile truck, and you cannot get a haircut. It's the silliest thing I've ever seen in my life. How in the world can you do all of these, some very invasive things, and you can give blood? We do it all the time. The mobile unit comes up and you give blood. You can do all of these, but you can't get a simple haircut. Think of the convenience during the pandemic. A lot of people just would not go to a barber, and the mobile unit would come to your house or your neighborhood. Secondly, I am the secretary of the Conference of Legislators from Gaming States. There's 38 states involved. We had a very lively convention that just ended Saturday evening in Fort Lauderdale, and we discussed at great length sports gaming. And I handled two panels, one on the lottery and the other on casinos. And I made it very, very plain that the time has come for sports betting in Georgia. Citizens want it. And I think if we test and are honest about it, the same citizens would like to have casinos because it's just a time. And I've always told folk, especially my friends in the ministry, it's just like liquor. If you don't drink it, don't go in the liquor store. I've also said that the difference is I'm not a gambler, but I never miss an opportunity to go to a casino because it's the best entertainment in the world. The food is great, but there's absolutely no people watching in the world like sitting in a casino. I've seen everything imaginable, and I just want to keep seeing it. But I'm hoping that this session, we can get serious and listen to the people. And this is not an indictment of anybody because this is a good committee. But I don't know why everybody's terrified to let the people say whether or not they want it. How in the world do we say we speak for the people when we don't listen to them? It's time for the people to decide that no, we don't, forget it, or yes, we do. Told a good friend of mine, preacher friend of mine, man, you have 200 members. I got 11 million people I got to look out for. Your 200 million, your 200 members should be promised that if any of you got a good job and your salaries go up, you will only tithe them at the old salary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. That's wisdom of the ages. And I'm presuming that when you speak about the antis, it's not just folks, the good religious folks that are talking, because I believe I remember making a comment a few years ago. I went up to Cherokee and I couldn't get a parking space because of the church buses. Ms. Maynor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is very true. My mom actually sponsors many church buses to the casino.
Holy right.
I am glad to be on this committee. Thank you for the selection committee for choosing me to be on this committee. As a physical therapist, the great state of Georgia is privileged to have two of us here sitting on this committee. And I do agree that we should put more money into the efforts that the licensing division is doing, because we haven't so in the past. And I also agree with Chairman Collins. I represent downtown Atlanta, a lot of Midtown, which is close to several hospitals. And that means a lot of the residents live in my district, and they are finishing their residence, wanting to go on as a full-fledged physician, but they can't because they're still waiting on their license hearing. And so we need to definitely speed that up. So if you do a bill, Chairman Collins, I would love to support you on that bill. The other thing that is of interest to me is looking more into the low THC, all of the matters surrounding that. It's so much that we could delve into to help the citizens of Georgia. So I do hope that we dig deeper into that. And the other thing that is of importance to me this year regarding this committee, we are looking at, I know I've heard floating around requiring mandatory kindergarten. And if we're going to do mandatory kindergarten, I think that means we also need to be posing those questions to the lottery this year to, get them thinking about that, to see what they think they need if that does become so. And those are the things that I'm thinking about.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, our distinguished colleague, Representative Smith. Well, I've got number 12 pushed. What's your number? What is your number down there? Hold on, there you go again.
I can speak up. There we go. Are we on?
11 zone.
11 zone.
11 and 12.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, always for the opportunity to serve on this committee. There isn't a specific issue that I'm looking forward to seeing, but there is one that I'm concerned about, and I'm looking forward to tackling this issue with you guys over this session. To be nice, I'm not going to say the specific bill.
Oh. So you're saying you got several issues then? All right, on behalf of the committee, I've always took great amount of pride that people always respected regulated industries, because we'll deal with issues that no other committee wants to deal with. I also take great pride that we're kind of a caretaker about certain state agencies. If they're not doing things right, then they need to do things right, because the public should demand nothing less than that. There's a lot of structure in the things that we deal with, like alcohol. The cannabis has become an issue, obviously, from some of the comments today, that needs to be dealt with, to possibly put some structure into some of this. But I want to thank the committee members. Y'all been very kind in your comments to me. I hope you'll be this kind in a few weeks, especially if your bills don't get heard. But you're certainly welcome to come and talk to me. Representative Williams, my dear friend, I think he wants to get his bill on mobile hair cutting, but that bill is going to probably be included into a rewrite of the cosmetology board. So if you're up for that, we'll give it a whirl. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that being said, we've got a special guest from over at the Revenue Department. If y'all would like to come up and introduce yourself. You can sit down if y'all would rather.
They're going to talk about taxing issues?
No, we lost this. This state lost a good. Was he was deputy director or full director? Chris.
Deputy director.
Deputy Chris Luncheon.
Yeah.
I believe we got it on.
The chairman's correct. We lost Assistant Director Christopher Luncheon in our alcohol and tobacco division, so certainly would appreciate prayers for his family. I believe he's got 2 or 3 young kids, so his wife is now a single mom. But I'm joined today by our director of the alcohol and tobacco division. This is going to be his first session with DOR. He serves over both ATD and our Office of Special Investigations, so they investigate crimes related to tax, alcohol, and motor vehicles. So just wanted to have Danny introduce himself, and we look forward to working with y'all this session.
I don't know how I could beat that introduction right there. It was great. So my name's Danny Bates. I came to the Department of Revenue from the Roswell Police Department, where I'd spent 36 years. I'm here now. It's the greatest organization I've ever worked with. It's great people. Everybody's trying to do the right thing. Work with y'all to do the right thing. I'll make sure everybody has a way to contact me. Anything I can do to help, I'm there for you. And I mean it. Thank you.
Very good. We thank you. To the members, you need to get to know him, and I'm sure he'll make his number available, or Jan will to you if you ever need it, whether it be licensing issues or something you know that needs to be reported. As we all know, alcohol is a very special issue. No matter how much structure we put into it, there's always those who don't want to do it the right way. And he's there, and if you take a good look at him, he'd scare me if I seen him on a dark night. I mean, as a matter of fact,
it's my haircut.
I'm afraid if I ever met him on the street corner one night, my hair'd be standing up as stiff as his is. So. Danny, good to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
y'all.
I appreciate everybody.
And I'd like to also make a request. We used to be able to get a manual on alcohol laws from the department. I don't think that's been upgraded in a number of years. But
I'll get it to you.
thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Now, do we have anyone else that has anything that's bearing on their heart? I would like to tell some folks, I'm glad I heard about the dry needling. I was approached in the hall this morning about that bill. Air hub bills, a number of other bills. So if any of the committee members is looking on something to work for, I've certainly got some bills that y'all can work on. And for the audience, anybody got anything they'd like to address the committee on? Because you won't get a chance if you ain't got a bill after today. So if you've got anything y'all would like to address the whole committee, we would love to hear it. Step up, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is S.J. Nichols. I'm the owner of S.J. Labs and Analytics. We're the state's first cannabis testing facility. We test the hemp program and the medical cannabis program. Cannabis was mentioned by several of these members. I want to invite you guys to have a conversation with me, answer some of the questions that you may have about the specifics of how either hemp is going in Georgia or how medical cannabis is going in Georgia, about the science of it, what's the difference between Delta-9 and THCA, what does it all mean? We're a local small business working hard for Georgia, and we're happy to answer your question and add some clarity.
Any questions from the lady? Thank you so much. This cannabis, this what's the not THC, but
There's Delta-8, Delta-9, and then THCA are the hot topics right now.
very good. Anyone else wishes to be heard? Well, I guess we have thoroughly vetted y'all. So unless y'all have a bill to come in front of this committee, you won't be given this chat. Members, I want to thank y'all for being here. And I don't know, Misha, would you mind terribly going by the Speaker's office? And if you would notify the Speaker's office that the House Committee on Regulated Industries has convened and we're ready to do business. So if you would do that on behalf of us, we would appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all.